Hi, Harry here on May 21st. Let's talk about Bitcoin a little more today, precisely because it's so important to the stock market. Remember, Bitcoin and blockchain, much like the dot-com stocks that came in the late stages, bubbling of the first tech bubble and tech wreck to follow, they're like the dot-coms. And so I do care what Bitcoin does, whether you buy it or not. And Bitcoin, I was looking very carefully when it hit, almost 65,000. Was that a peak? And why that was a big question mark, as much as it was a big surge and looked like a peak, was that Bitcoin, since inception, has had dramatic peaks around the end of every fourth year. About a year and a half after its halving. So late 2013, 2017. The peak was more likely due for late this year. And of course, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because if Bitcoin keeps bubbling up, then stocks are likely to keep bubbling up. And I have shown in my newsletters that Bitcoin has tended to lead stocks at major tops. The last major one was December 2017 for Bitcoin and January 2018 for the stock market, before it got into this megaphone pattern where it's going more sideways with higher highs and lower lows. Okay, so, and this is important, the megaphone, as I've been saying, because that's a topping pattern and a very predictable one compared to a lot of stock patterns. So if Bitcoin did peak at 64,863, I think it was, on April 14th. If it did peak, now that it's gone down a little over 50%, and I was showing to our subscribers in a number of issues, updates back, that it had support, at these different levels, 44,000 and 41,600, and if it broke those, it would likely collapse down close to 30,000. That's exactly what it did. And even though Bitcoin has bounced now to 42,000 area and may go up to 44, 45, I think that the odds are it's going to go down at least one more time and actually test the strongest support around 29,000 to 30. It's hit 31,600 or something so far. So if Bitcoin has peaked, it is not going to run up and make a new high. And if this big of a collapse greatly increases the odds that that was a peak, then the odds are stocks are about to peak. And I've been looking for a peak perhaps in late April was the first turning point, and now late May, early June. And on that, a similar 5 to 6 week lag as previous peaks for Bitcoin ahead of stocks, that would put it late May, early June. So I think we could be at a very key turning point. Stocks pretty much ignored the big collapse in Bitcoin, which if they understood bubbles they were in, which they don't, they would not ignore that. That was a very important sign for me. Stock market's like, oh no, no big deal, da-di-da-di-da, bubble, bubble, bubble. So also the charts look like we have one more wave up. It doesn't have to happen, but one more wave up, maybe 4,400 on the S&P 500, something like that, a new high. And then we could start to see a downturn and breaking the bottom trend line all the way up from the COVID low in March of last year, 2020. That's the key thing I'm looking at for our subscribers, and that's what I'll be updating people on. Do we break that? If we break that, odds are the stocks are now, they're then going to collapse rapidly like Bitcoin did when it broke key support. And then it could end up being this megaphone projection. And remember this, 2,100 on the S&P 500. That's the next new low after 3 higher highs. The next lower and final new low, only in the first crash, by the way, not for the whole crash over the next few years, but the first crash would be this megaphone ending. 2,100 down 50% roughly on the S&P 500. So certainly the NASDAQ would be that or more, and the Dow, and et cetera. So this is a very important time. Watching the stock market, listening for updates, our subscribers, I think this could be it. Somewhere between now and I'd say June 10th, I'm seeing the likelihood of we beginning a 50% crash that could only take 2 to 3 months to play out. And that was exactly what happened. In 1929, the first crash was 49% in 2.3 months. And people remember in our lifetimes, the 87 crash, 40% in 2 months. Most of that happened in 2 weeks. So that's what I'm looking for, a waterfall drop in stocks. We're going to have to see some confirmation, but we should probably get that in the coming weeks. So stay tuned.